name is Sue Cowan. I started at Place des Arts, I think in 1992 or 93 as a teacher, but I certainly came and took a couple of courses before that. I came to see Gillian and suggested that I could teach an art class, drawing class to adults, because that wasn't on offer at the time. Laurie did the painting classes, but there was no drawing, so Gillian hired me to do that. Yeah. And then a couple of years later, I think, Hazel was teaching kids classes for drawing and painting, and there was need for another teacher because the classes were growing. So she suggested that I might want to do that too and would be well suited. So I did, and I was here for 25 years. And at that point I thought, well, that's enough. So I taught adults drawing and later on painting and portraits, drawing and painting, and then drawing and painting for kids. So that's what I did here.
Well, as I said, I was at the front door, so that's 50 years ago.
Yeah.
We took several classes. I met Hazel there. She was starting to come too, so we worked with those. As I was like Sue and Hazel, we were doing classes. I did those ones from Miss Payton was doing some upstairs in the old crazy building, going up the stairs and down. And then she gave me a silly little show with these women and down the hall is anything, and then in the things from there. And then she just brought it to me that I'm going to have a one-man show. I was there for 26 years in that teaching painting.
Laurie is the most wonderful artist, and she is a wonderful teacher. So I just want to say that.
Oh, I just have to add this about Laurie and Sue. But Laurie, she really mentored me with my painting. And the thing I remember about Laurie was she was saying, no, that's not how you do it. And she grabbed my hand with the brush and she said, do this.
Oh, you
like this.
What a silly story that
And Sue is a great.
is. And she'd take my paper and pencils away, I know.
Sue is just the best. Sue is just the best teacher.
Thank you.
Going. Yeah, and a great artist. So I started at Place des Arts in, I think, 1991. And that was just after I retired from my other job. And Laurie said, oh, they're looking for an art teacher at Place des Arts. You know, I've talked to Gillian. Gillian says, yeah, she'd like to interview me. And I said, oh, I can't do that. I've never taught kids. I don't know how to do that. She said, you could do it. You get down there. So I did. I went down and Gillian hired me on the spot. That was in the old building in the house, and I loved that house. I loved the atmosphere. As we were talking at lunchtime, what they have going up there is wonderful now, because we had this one little room. There was a little bathroom, a sink about that big, and that sink was used for changing your paint water, getting new water, and if someone was in the washroom, you had to darn well wait till they got out to change your water. So, and one little closet to store all our work in. But it was wonderful, and then we moved to the new building, and both Sue and I taught summer fun as well as weekly classes with the kids. And I taught kids here for, I believe it was 13 years. Yeah, and then Gillian suggested that I might like to do an adult class at Dogwood. So I said, sure. I think it gave us all more confidence to go forward and to actually, oh, I can have a show. I'm good enough to have a show. And also all the classes we took at Plastisar with Betty Genty, Laurie and I did.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I
Sue
remember.
did.
Yes, I did.
Yes,
Yeah.
wonderful teacher. And so there was really nowhere else to go in Coquitlam at that time, was there? So we took a lot of classes from Betty Genty, and we took drawing classes.
I
And
remember.
I guess for me, teaching here certainly gave me the confidence and the experience to go and teach elsewhere as well.
Yeah.
So and I continue with the Federation of Canadian Artists. I'm a signature member, signature member. Sorry, senior signature member. Yes, with the FCA. So I've taught for them, and I've taught for different art groups and different communities. So the background I had at Plastisar teaching here gave me that path.
I don't know. I just think your every day is joyful when you come down in here, and everybody and the students I had.
Oh, hard to pick. I think some of the things that stick in my mind were, especially in the old building, and of course it was something that everyone loved and was copied as much as possible in the new building, and that was being in the old building. You'd come in, there was an art show walking in, there would be a violin with a 4-year-old twinkle, twinkle little. And then you would hear a piano teacher practicing for a concert, and you would hear a loom going, and you would hear some pottery wheels going, and you would be doing your art, but then you had to leave because then there was a music class in that same space. So I think for me it was so wonderful to see how the arts, and I'm not even mentioning dance at that point, but the way everything fitted together so seamlessly, it was as if it was a common experience, that all the arts were all part of the same thing, that they weren't separate disciplines, that they were all really one part of the whole thing. And I think that was one of the best things about Plastisar, and I think that has continued to this day, and will.
I have to say the same as Sue. My most joyful memory is being in the old building, in that little room, and a few feet away was somebody playing a violin, somebody downstairs singing, and I thought, oh, this is where I belong, this is where I should be. And it was pure joy to experience that.
Well, what I have, what happens every now and again, and it happened just a couple of weeks ago to me, I'm walking in Mundy Park and somebody comes along and says, oh, I remember you, Sue, and I very often don't know who this person is, but the story is, oh, I was in your class at Plastisar. I took your classes, and I enjoyed them so much, and I'm still keeping up with my art, or I've given up my art, but I always remember how much I enjoyed your classes and how much I learned. A few years ago, I got an email from a young man who told me that he was in my class when he was 6. And he was now an adult. I think he was a doctor, but he remembered me. He had seen me somewhere on the internet and got in touch to say he remembered the classes, and that yes, he was a bit of a monster, but he did enjoy them and learn. So I think it feels so good to know that I've made a difference to people in making art.
Yeah, I've got to say again about the same thing, is that a lot of people come up and usually older people, they say, oh yeah, my child, my daughter, or whatever, and I remember who they were, and so I feel that I contributed in some way to that. Yeah, just the work that we all put into it. I think we did our very best. It wasn't just to come in and make some money, it was to really do something, change it, or do our best.
We were dedicated.
So that's what we did.
I don't know. As I said when I left my kids there, it's my second home, and that's what it has been to me. I loved every moment of it.
our friendships,
Mhm.
the friendships we've continued on with, like lifelong friendships. And with some of the other teachers, maybe not as close, but still meeting these people that all were involved in the arts and loved it. And also all the nice people that worked here.
I would really agree. Meeting so many people over time, and sometimes you didn't meet other art teachers because they were here perhaps the same time to use the facilities, but certainly had the opportunity to meet dance teachers and music teachers and a variety of people. And everybody working the front desk was always so helpful. And again, I guess it was a matter of scheduling, but for me, the people who are also still here, Lydia and Tanya, for me, have always been my go-to people.
Yes.